and welcome to the Department of Computer and Information Sciences. I'm Ron Sarner. I'm the senior member of our department. I'll be starting my 47th year here this fall. And the purpose of this video is to give you an introduction to our programs, understanding what the major requirements are, and a few of the business items of our department. So away we go. Academic advisement. Our advisors are pre-assigned. Our department secretary, Grace Decker, makes initial assignment of advisors, and Grace will notify you who your advisor is, or you can find that in Banner as well. Unlike many departments where advisors are fixed, we welcome students to change their advisor if they so desire. For example, it may be that during the course of your study you become familiar with one of my faculty colleagues and would like that person to be your academic advisor. No problem. All you need to do is contact Grace either by email, grace.decker@sunypoly.edu, or by phone, or stop in the office if you're on campus and the place is open and we've got the COVID crisis a little bit behind us, and Grace will make that change for you. You should check in with your academic advisor during the first couple of weeks of fall classes. An email will suffice. Any questions that you have should be in the email. If you actually want to speak with the advisor, note that in the email, and the person will contact you, and you can get together, arrange a time for a phone call, and deal with it that way. If you want something a little bit more personal, it's very likely that your advisor can arrange a Zoom session with you. In person, in the office sessions for advisement, I'm not sure what we're going to do with that with fall. It's going to be hard to keep 6-foot distances, maintain the social distance, and many of my faculty colleagues, myself included, will be on campus fairly seldom due to the fact that we don't have any on-campus classes to teach, and in many cases we are of an age where just being present in a group presents a significant health risk to us. Anyway, but getting a hold of advisors should not be difficult. As I said, you should check in with your advisor during the first few weeks of classes. If you have any questions, then don't hesitate to contact the advisor. If you cannot get a hold of your advisor, you're welcome to speak with any of the faculty members in the CS department. We're more than happy to cover for each other. And again, we have a pretty informal advisement process. So we want you to be advised by the person you feel comfortable with. Advisement will be required prior to your registration for spring semester classes. Some departments require that all of their students have an academic advisement session. We do not. We require it for freshmen. We want to see that you've been reasonably acclimated, check on your first semester progress, and assist you in making selection of second semester courses. After that, if you want us, we're here. We're happy to deal with you, but assist you in any way that you want, but we're not your parent, and we're not going to play parent and call you up and ask you how you're doing and that sort of thing. You're adults. We're going to treat you as adults. We're here. If you need our assistance, want our assistance, we're happy to help, but you have to initiate it. Primary role of advisors, at least as I see it and in the way most of my colleagues see it, is to answer questions you have regarding meeting degree requirements. Ultimately, you're responsible for meeting the degree requirements. They're clearly stated in the catalog. There are a number of tools that can assist you in ascertaining that you are meeting the degree requirements. But the role of the advisor is to answer any questions that you might have. We vary, but the sorts of things that I think some of us feel less useful for. I'll speak for myself here. What should I do with my life? I don't know. I'm not trained in counseling. And that's a really hard question for me to answer. I'd be lucky if I could answer that. I wouldn't answer it for my own children, let alone advisors. I've got unrestricted electives. What should I take? Again, I know what I would take, but I'm not you. I don't know your interests. I don't necessarily know. I can read a catalog. I can look at classes. But if you think I have a fairly intimate knowledge of courses that are offered throughout the institution, no, I don't. It's anecdotal at best, and anecdotal is by no means evidence-based. So our primary role as advisors are If you have questions about does a particular course meet a degree requirement, what degree requirements still remain, am I on track, those sorts of questions. We're particularly adept at dealing with those, and they're evidence-based questions, and we can deal with them very nicely. Our department has 4 programs. The bulk of our enrollment is probably in 2 of them, maybe 3, but I'll just go over these with you. We have a bachelor's program, BS program, Bachelor of Science program in Computer and Information Science. This is our largest program, probably has 200 to 300 majors in it. We have a program in Computer Information Systems, which we refer to as CIS. We refer to Computer Science as CS, and it also leads to a Bachelor of Science degree. We have a combined bachelor's master's program in Computer and Information Science. We refer to this as the BS-MS program. It is a fast-track degree. It leads to both a bachelor's and a master's degree in a compressed time frame. I'll tell you a little bit more about that program a little bit later in the presentation. And we have quite a unique program called Applied Computing. It's not only unique, it has a very small enrollment, probably fewer than you can count, certainly on 2 hands, maybe lower than you can count on 1 hand. It's designed for really a niche interest, excuse me, and I'll describe that a little bit later in the presentation as well. There are a number of requirements common to all of the department's majors. So it applies whether you're in computer science, computer systems, applied computing, or the BS-MS program. In order to earn a bachelor's degree, you are required to complete 124 credits. Most, but not all of our courses are 4-credit courses. So you wind up having to take, 31 courses approximately to pull that off. You need a minimum grade point average of a C. We are on a 4-point system. An A is 4 points, a B is 3 points, a C is 2 points, a D is 1 point, and F is no points. And pluses and minuses are fractions of a point. You have to end up with a grade point average, an overall grade point average of at least 2.0. That's not rounded. It's got to hit 2.0 or greater on the nose. In addition, you must maintain or have a minimum C or 2.0 grade point average in your major. And there are several courses that you have to get a minimum of a C grade in as well. These include both CS 108 and CS 240. I'll talk about those a little bit later. And either finite or discrete math, Math 115 or 413. You do not have to achieve minimum C grade in other courses, but you have to have a C average. In those 3 courses, CS 108, CS 240, and either finite or discrete math. Finite math is Math 115. Discrete math is Math 413. In those 3 courses, you must have a minimum C grade. If you do not have a C grade, you will have to retake the course as many times as required in order to achieve at least a C grade. The catalog will tell you that you need a minimum of 60 credits in arts and science coursework. I'm going to tell you right now, forget about it. Every one of our programs meet that requirement, and it's fairly simple as to why. You must take a minimum of 30 credits in general education. All of those courses are arts and science courses. And almost all of our CS and IS courses, or most of our CS and IS courses, also carry liberal arts credit. And so if you meet the major, it's impossible you will not meet that requirement. So you'll see it listed, but it's a requirement you really don't have to be concerned about. In addition, you have to have a minimum of 30 credits of upper division coursework. And upper division coursework are junior, senior level courses. These are courses numbered 300 in the 300 series or the 400 series, or graduate courses for that matter. You must have a minimum of 30 credits. Our CS program and our CIS program, if you look at what the specific course requirements are, if you take all of the required upper level courses here, you will meet that 30 credit minimum. It's conceivable that if you take some of those courses elsewhere, where there are 3 credit courses, not 4 credit courses, or if you are in applied computing, that you may have to take additional coursework to meet that minimum 30 credit requirement. The number of people to whom this applies over a decade, again, I could count on 1 hand. If you're taking your coursework here, unless you're in applied computing, this is not going to be an issue to you. Okay, general education forms the heart of all baccalaureate degrees. They are common to our degrees. And I want to explain what the general education requirements are. They come from 3 different places. The State University of New York, SUNY, has a general education requirement applicable to all baccalaureate programs on all the SUNY campuses. And also, it also applies to some associate degree programs at the community colleges. There are several categories of courses that you have to take. I'm going to go through those with you now. Okay, you are all SUNY 4-year graduates are required to complete a minimum of 1 course in basic communication. This is typically English 101. It is often or usually taken during the freshman year. You are not required to take it during your first semester. There are a number of the engineering programs where students are required to take it during the first semester. So the English 101 seats actually fill up fairly quickly. We're not concerned whether you take it in the fall or the spring, but it's something you probably should take in your freshman year. It is freshman English. That's it, basic communication. State University of New York requires all graduates to have a general education course in mathematics. Our majors, all of them, require specific math courses. If you take the specific math courses required for the major, you will meet the general education requirement, so you do not have to think about it. The general education math requirement is met in our programs by taking Math 115, which is finite mathematics, or Math 413, discrete mathematics. And again, for our major, you are required to get a minimum C grade. Computer information systems majors are required to take 1 additional course in mathematics. It could be calculus, and the institution offers multiple calculus courses, but please hear me carefully. All of the calculus courses, not pre-calculus, but all of the calculus courses, Math 112, Math 121, or Math 151, meet the calculus requirement for computer information systems majors. Only one of those 3 meet the requirement for computer information science majors, whether in the BS program or the BSMS program. So computer systems majors take either Math 115 or Math 413 and choice of one out of the following 3. 1 course in calculus, or 1 course in linear algebra, or statistics. If math is not your strong suit, and you are a CIS major, you'd probably opt for statistics, which is algebra-based, as opposed to calculus-based. Linear algebra is listed there, but it requires calculus as a prerequisite, so that's in some sense meaningless. If your major is computer and information science, either in the bachelor's program or the combined bachelor's-master's program, you still take either finite or discrete math, Math 115 or 413, but you must take calculus 1, Math 151, that's the only calculus 1 course you can choose, and 2 courses from a fairly long list of math courses that include Calculus 2, Linear Algebra, Statistics, and a somewhat longer list of courses that you would find listed in the catalog, not enumerated there. So again, if you are a computer science or a major, either bachelor's or combined bachelor's-master's program, you are taking finite or discrete math, that's 1. You are taking Calculus 1, that's 2. You are taking 2 additional math courses, that is 4. If you find that you are a CS major and math is not your strong suit, and you go through this and say, I can't get through this, then an option for you will be to switch into the Computer Information Systems program, where the full engineering type calculus is not required, where statistics would be an option, and where a total of 2 math courses rather than 4 are required. Okay, missing something here. Did I get to science? Oh boy. Actually, I've got something that's missing here. Looks like I deleted some slides. All right, I will talk about this, but apparently I deleted some slides here. There is a science requirement. SUNY Poly has a science requirement. And in our department, you are required to take two science courses. If your major is computer and information systems, then Again, you take 2 science courses. They do not have to be from the same science discipline. 2 science courses. At least one of those must have a lab. So, for example, astronomy, perfectly reasonable science course, does not have a lab. It would not fulfill that requirement. So, again, computer information systems, 2 science courses. At least one of the 2 must have a lab. So what sorts of things have labs? Introductory biology course, introductory chemistry course, introductory physics course. These have labs with them. If your major is computer information science, either, again, the bachelor's program or the combined bachelor's master's program, you still have to take 2 science courses. There's a list of science courses that you can take that is listed in the catalog. These are all science courses. They're not general science courses. They are science courses that were designed for science and engineering majors. So again, it's classic university chemistry, university biology, university physics would be the typical examples in that arena. Again, I'm going to say, if you get to the point saying, I just can't deal with the level of science that's expected of me here, then an alternative for you is to move into the computer information systems program, where the science requirement is still 2 courses, but it is not, those courses are not necessarily courses that were designed for engineering and science majors. Okay, so what do we got so far? We talked about basic communication, 1. We've talked about mathematics, 2. We talked about science, even though the slide for that is missing. That's 3. There are 7 other general education categories. You must take at least 1 course in 4 of the categories. So you could pick social science, Western Civ, humanities, foreign language. You could pick social science, American history, Western Civ, other civs. It does not matter which 4, but you must have at least 1 course in each of 4 categories. Okay. So the categories are social sciences. The social sciences, I'm not being complete here, but social sciences includes things such as sociology, psychology, political science, economics, anthropology. These would all be examples of the social sciences. American history is what it suggests. And as you look at courses that are shown to you on the schedule, courses that meet the American history requirement have to be American history courses that cover a minimum of 100 years in a chronological sequence. So the typical things that you would see for the American history category would be things like American history pre-Civil War, so colonial time to the Civil War, and American history to Civil War to the present. Western civilization is a 3rd category. The 4th category, it sounds pejorative, and as a system we're looking at another way of phrasing that. It's probably going to be world civilizations. But this would be typically other than modern Europe. And the humanities are things such as philosophy and literature would be the 2 classic examples of the humanities. The arts, music, theater, art, the primary arts, and foreign language, as I recall, the last I looked, I don't know that we offer all of these every semester, but we do offer French, we offer Spanish, we've offered Chinese, we've offered Japanese, I think. Those are the selections in foreign language. So again, you have to choose at least 1 course in at least 4 of the categories. When 4 of the categories are met, this entire requirement is met. Moving along. Some of our general education courses are approved for more than 1 category. As an example, History 375, Gender Issues in World History, is listed as meeting both the Western civilization and the other world civilizations requirements. A common way that we refer to this course is it's a twofer. You take 1 course, it meets 2, you completed 2 of the categories. Some of the courses are listed as humanities and Western Civ, for example. If you use a course to meet a humanities requirement or to cover the humanities category, you cannot use it to cover another category, even if it meets two categories. Then it becomes an or situation, not an and situation. Okay. We're moving along to the courses required in the major. So we talked about general education. Let's think about what's the total package. 124 hours. Has to include 30 hours of general education. You follow that program, it will. Why? Let's just think about this. English is one course, right? Mathematics, there were a minimum of 2, that's 3. Science, minimum of 2, that's 5. And you even find a course that double counts, that would be 8. You need 3. You can take 4 categories with 3 courses. That's 8 courses in total. 8 courses in total is 32 credits, so you'd meet the minimum 30 credits. So you've got 124 credits, you've got general education, and the second thing you have is the major. So I'm going to go over what's required in the major next. All of our programs, computer science, computer systems, applied computing, BS/MS, they all require programming fundamentals, CS 108. CS 108 is an introductory programming course that we cover using the C language. A minimum C grade is required for this course. If you are interested, we can offer this on a test-out basis. I've taught this course for more years than I want to count. Much as I'm producing this video, I video capture all of my classes. I can make those videos available to you. They are online. If you wish to pursue that, you watch the videos between whenever you're watching this video and the start of the semester. When you come in August, you contact me. I've given you a practice exam. I give you an actual exam. If you score 83% or higher on that exam, the equivalent of a B grade, you are done with CS 108. You get credit for that as credit by exam, EX grade, credit by exam. We do offer a kinder, gentler introduction to programming, CS 100. I'll talk about that in a few moments. Some number of you have had programming courses in high school, and typically that is done in Java. We do not do Java as a first language. If you took the AP programming course in high school and scored a 3 or higher on the AP exam, you would get 4 credits for that once we receive the original AP transcript, not your high school transcript. But it is not the equivalent of CS 108. We do CS 108 in the language known as C, as I've explained here. What course do you take first in the major? Well, CS 108, we've been teaching it for, I don't know, 30 years maybe longer. And we've been doing it in the C language for about that time. C is clearly one of the top 5 or 6 languages in use today. One of the things we find is that about 30% of the students who take that course don't do well. They withdraw from the course, or they get less than a C, and we've tried to figure out, what's going on there. We often hear, well, it's math. Well, no, the math in that course is trivial. It is nothing more complicated than you would have said. If you got through 9th or 10th grade math, you have the math required for CS 108. What we found was kind of interesting. We've done some data mining, and we found that the single best predictor of outcomes in CS 108, at least for incoming freshmen, is high school average. As I said, on average, about a third of the people who take CS 108 do not do well. But if your high school average is 89 or greater, or you have prior programming experience, the probability of your getting a C or higher grade in CS 108 is 90% or greater. That is, fewer than 10% do not do well. If your high school average is less than 89 and you have no prior computer programming experience, then the outcome is challenging. That is, over a third do not do well. So we have another course, CS 100, a kinder, gentler introduction to computing. And what we do is we tell people what to take, or we put them in classes. Those, again, with a high school average of 89 or higher, or prior programming work, for example, an AP course, go take CS 108. You've probably been put in that. If your high school average is less than 89, no prior programming experience, take CS 100 in the fall instead, and again, you have probably been put in that course. If you have questions about it, don't think you're in the appropriate course, again, chat with your advisor or chat with me. Other courses required common to all programs. These would not be taken in the first semester. CS 220, a course in computer organization. This deals with logic, digital logic, and circuitry. It is the one hardware level course that is required in our programs. And then CS 240, a course in data structures. Data structures, again, a classic common course to CS programs. We do that in C++. So all of our majors, at a minimum, have an exposure to the programming language C and to the programming language C++. Data structures deals with how things are represented in a computer, things such as lists, stacks, queues, things of that sort. Those terms won't mean anything to you now necessarily, but they will when you get there. Okay. The remaining major requirements in both the BS and the BS-MS program. You wind up taking a course in object-oriented programming. We do that in Java. Our first course is done in structured programming in C. The intermediate course, Data Structures, introduces object-oriented programming in C++, and that's continued with a purely object-oriented programming course in Java. And again, if you've had Java, this course, for example, you've had the AP course, it's done at an introductory level. There's no assumption that you've had data structures at that point. Folks who walk into CS 249, we can start with the assumption that you know what lists, stacks, queues, these features are, and instead of simple programming assignments, we can start with a far more complex level. There is a course called Operating Systems and Networking. This is not how do you use Windows or how do you use Linux, but what are the tasks that an operating system has to accomplish, and what ways are there for an operating system to accomplish that? And a little of the basics of networking. Information and Knowledge Management, CS 350, is also a two-topic course. The bulk of it is information management. This deals with databases, but it is not primarily querying and retrieval from databases, but how are databases organized, what makes them efficient. And knowledge management touches on artificial intelligence. CS 370, Software Engineering. How do we know that a program does what it's supposed to do? And in the sense of how do you know that a bridge is not going to collapse? How can we have confidence that this program is going to do what it is supposed to do? You use computer programs all over the place. You know, there are embedded systems in your car. For example, a collision and pedestrian detection. How do we know the car is going to stop for a pedestrian, will automatically stop for a pedestrian in front of the car, but will not stop for a bird flying by? Principles of programming languages. I teach that. I have a lot of fun with it. What are the characteristics of programming languages? What makes a language particularly useful for what set of tasks? What are the features that might go into a programming language? One language have one set of features, another set of features. I think it's an enjoyable course. So you've got one, aside from the three basic ones, 108, 220, 240, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 more advanced courses, and I'm not going to try to describe the list to you here. You're at least 2 years away from them. And then finally, a capstone project that's designed to, a project that interests you, that showcases the skills, the knowledge that you picked up in your time here. By the way, the 3 advanced courses could potentially be graduate courses, and for BS-MS majors, they are graduate courses, and those graduate courses double count to both bachelor's and master's program. Well, other people have told you about degree works, and it's a subject that I don't really like to talk about. I'll say this about degree works. The State University of New York's system spent millions of dollars to go out and get a vendor to develop a system that would be common to all of our campuses. And they did. And at least my contention is they didn't talk to end users. The reports in degree works span about 6 screens. We got it condensed to one spreadsheet. This is hard to read on the screen here, but I'll walk you through it as best I can. At the beginning of the semester, we should be sending each incoming student, if you're a transfer student, you've already gotten one of these. If you are a freshman, you will get it. It shows all of the degree requirements in 2 sections. When you've completed the list of requirements in both sections, and you have 124 credits, and you have minimum 2.0 average in the major, and a minimum 2.0 average overall, you're done. And in fact, we can just kind of look at the lists here. I didn't talk about this. There is a requirement of upper division writing course that everybody takes in addition to basic communication. There is a basic communication course. The finite or discrete math required of everybody. If your major is computer science, you need calculus and 2 other math courses. There are the 2 science courses. There are the other 7 general education categories, 4 of which are required. Then there's the enumeration of the major. CS 108, 220, 240, 249, 330, 350, 370, 431, 3 more advanced electives and capstone. Check off all of these things in one little format. You are done. Computer information systems. What are the differences here? Okay. So computer information systems, again, you start with, you still have to take CS 108, and you have to take CS 220, and you have to take CS 240. That's fundamentals and computer organization and data structures. The additional coursework for computer information systems includes a course on networking of information systems taught by the Network and Computer Security Department, a course in systems analysis and design. How do we go about basically problem solving and design a system that will work? A course in database, a little bit different than CS 350. This one has a much more greater focus on query and reporting as opposed to database theory. And we wind up teaching the database language called SQL there. Decision support and intelligence systems. We deal a bunch with data mining there and building predictive models. For example, for the last several years I've had my classes, I talked about the predictive model of who does well in CS 108. We have built predictive models for lots of freshman courses that are then used for advisement. Anyway, 3 advanced CS or IS courses. There's a listing in the catalog of what meets that, and a capstone project. Okay, the BSMS. It has similar requirements to the computer science program, but you do take graduate courses that are applicable to both the BS and MS degrees. In effect, they double count. So you take some elective courses, and those electives you get for each elective course. The graduate courses are 3 credits. You get 3 credits toward the bachelor's degree, but you also get 3 credits toward the graduate, the master's degree as well. And the master's degree is a 33 credit degree. So if you wind up taking 3 graduate courses while you were still an undergraduate, that's 9 credits out of 33 already done. It almost knocks a full semester off of the time required to get the master's degree. It's knocking off time. You're taking these graduate courses, but you are taking them while you are in undergraduate status, and you are paying undergraduate tuition for it. Graduate tuition is more than double what undergraduate tuition is, so this represents a real it's a real gift financially. The BSMS program requires a B average to get into it, and there's actually a minimum requirement in the major and minimum requirement overall. As I recall, in the major it's about 3.2, and it requires minimum B grades in several courses. Take a look at the catalog for details. If you are qualified, you can enter this program. You pretty much have to decide to do it by the beginning of your junior year. And if you think you might be eligible, see either Professor Michael Reale or Roger Cavallo. Both of them do advisement in that program. Applied computing is a really interesting program. We don't have a lot of majors in it. But essentially, you follow either the computer systems or the the computer science track. You have a slight reduction in the number of courses required in the major, but you have to do a minor or a 20-credit concentration in another area. and your capstone project bridges the two areas. Now, sometimes it's a transfer student comes in with an associate degree in another area. Sometimes it's one of our majors. It would not be uncommon, for example, for a student to minor in game design, and the final project would be the intersection of game design and either computer system, more like computer science than computer systems. Last semester, I had a fellow in that program who had an associate's degree, and he was dealing with drones, pilotless drones. And that was what his associate's degree was in. He went into applied computing, and his his project, capstone project, dealt with the management of drones. It was kind of interesting. So this one is not for everybody, but if you have an interest in another area, by the way, the other area cannot be business. Computer information systems is at the intersection of computing and business. But if you have an interest in some other area, you can take one of the minors at SUNY Poly or a 20-credit concentration that seems to make sense, and then your capstone project bridges these two areas. If you do want to change major, the forms are available from the registrar or on the registrar's website. You usually are required to have at least a 2.0 grade point average in order to change your major. So if you start off in a major and you really do poorly, you may find it impossible to change your major until you get grade point average up, which may mean you have to repeat some courses. Change of major requires approval from the major you want to enter, and some majors have a higher minimum. Network and computer security has a higher minimum. Business has a higher minimum. Switching within our programs, if you want to switch into the BSMS program, clearly it has a higher minimum. During your time at SUNY Poly, you might want to take courses elsewhere. And there's no problem with that, but a few things to keep in mind. First, prior approval is required. Why? To make you jump through hoops? No, not really. Sometimes a student goes ahead and takes the course thinking it will meet a particular requirement, and it doesn't. And the student takes the course, pays hundreds of dollars to take the course somewhere else during the summer. The transcript arrives and go, oh, it's not an equivalent course. Sorry, Charlie, you're out of luck. Well, with the pre-approval process, we're signing in advance that if you take this course where you say you're going to take it, you take whatever the particular course at Westchester Community College, we're going to accept that course as the equivalent, and we'll tell you what we're going to accept as the equivalent of, provided you get a C grade or higher. So it really is a guarantee for you that you're not wasting your money and your time by taking a course that's not going to apply. You know, I've been here a long time, and I remember when we did not do that, and it was really tragic. A person would take, oh, that's a humanities course. No, it isn't. By our categorization, it's not a humanities, it's something else, it's social science. And they didn't meet the requirement that they thought they were going to meet. Anyway, with respect to general education, every campus decides or determines how the courses it offers applies to the general education requirements. So if you take a course, for example, at Westchester Community College, Westchester determines, is that course an American history course, or is it a Western Civ course, or it is a humanities course, or it is a social science course. And whatever they say it is, doesn't matter what we'd consider it here. The campus that offers, within the SUNY system, for general education courses, the campus that offers the course determines its applicability. And that's another reason that you want to go through this pre-approval process, because in that pre-approval process, we look it up and we determine what the other campus said, how it applies. If you take a course elsewhere, you are required to get a minimum C grade in order to transfer that course. Well, I probably droned on for a lot longer than I should have. Ultimately, if you have questions, obviously you can't ask me those questions right now. So a couple of thoughts. Either contact your advisor or feel free to contact me by email. And my email, pretty straightforward, Ron Sarner, I'm Ron. One of the virtues of having been here for all these years is that I was here when we got our first computer system, and all the accounts at that time were done on a first-name basis, and I've been grandfathered in. Well, I'd like to say I had a great time talking to you, except I'm in an empty room, so I'm talking to nobody except staring at a camera. Hopefully this is helpful to you, gives you a sense of what our programs are. On behalf of my colleagues, I'd like to say I look forward to seeing you in the fall. except I'm just teaching online classes, so I'm not going to see you in the fall. I may correspond with you in the fall, but still my best wishes for a successful and healthy and happy fall semester. Thank you very much.